Hello, and welcome to The Fool and the Philosopher.
The Philosopher and the Fool.
Venice. I was reading a tiny bit of the history of Venice.
Okay.
I want to know more. I want to read like a history book on Venice because, you know, in like Civilization and in Europa Universalis, you can play as Venice and you make a lot of money. Like you become super rich.
Yep. That's basically their thing.
Venice was rich. Holy cow. Like, that is accurate. Reading about the history of Venice is amazing. They had so much money. It's unbelievable. Like, it talked about a ceremony that the Supreme Doge would do, where he would, like, once a year, go to the temple they had constructed that was plated in marble and gold, and enter the altars in his jewel-encrusted, like, completely jewel-encrusted robes, and go into this, like, golden building with, like, an altar, like, covered in gold, and do whatever ceremony there with the bones of a saint in there, some great saint. And then he would row out into the ocean in a rowboat on his own, or maybe with some people, and cast a golden ring into the waters to, like, thank the waters for all the wealth they had brought to Venice. And this was, like, once a year, just, like, chuck gold in the ocean, and everything's lined with gold and marble, and there's, like, cladding from everywhere. Byzantium. They basically... And how they got rich was... There was this Doge of Venice. He was one of the first, I think. And he was a really old man at the time. And he was blind.
Supreme Doge.
Yeah. And he was blind.
Yeah.
And he was blind because he'd been blinded by the Roman Empire. They had, like, put out his eyes.
Oh, I thought you'd be blinded from looking at too much gold.
No, this is how they got their wealth in the first place.
Okay.
It was because of this guy.
Right.
So the Crusades were going on, and he hated the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
He hated the Eastern Roman Empire hugely. What are you doing? Are you, like, cooking?
I'm adjusting something.
All right, I'll wait.
I'm done now.
Okay. All right.
Hopefully that's fixed it.
I'm done. Crash.
That's me putting down my phone. Okay, right.
All right, let me know when you're done making noise.
I'm done.
All right. So the Supreme Doge hated the Eastern Roman Empire. So that was Byzantium, basically, in Constantinople.
Yeah.
So it was the first crusade, I think it was the first, was going on. And they couldn't get across the ocean because nobody had any boats, and it was way too dangerous to try to deal with, like, the, I think this is how it goes. I could be wrong, but it was like the Mameluke or whoever fleets. Like, it was too dangerous. So they couldn't get to the Holy Land. They couldn't get to Israel to fight in the First Crusade. So Venice offered to do it. They said, okay, we'll supply ships for 60,000 florins or something like that. And all the kings were like, oh, that's great, but we only have 20,000 florins between all of us that we can, like, give you. And at this point, I think all the Crusaders had gone to Venice. And so they said, okay, tell you what, we won't charge you for the boats. We'll get you to the Holy Land. But before we take you to the Holy Land, you have to be our personal army. We'll just drop you off. We'll take a pit stop along the way, and you have to raid that place. And so they're like, okay, we agree. So they went to Constantinople and, like, sacked the city. They killed the emperor. They killed his successors. They killed the emperors who were thrown in prison, who were supposed to be the ones they were there to free. They, like, destroyed all the temples. They took all the marble and gold and brought it all back to Venice.
So how many times was Constantinople sacked by Crusaders?
Once, at least.
Because this sounds like the second time.
It was sacked by the Ottomans one time.
Well, no, because one of the times it was sacked was these were like the Knights Templar Crusaders, like the elite army of the Crusaders. They came back to Constantinople,
right? And
Constantinople refused to pay them,
right?
And so they decided to take the money because they're an army.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess they've been a very rich city throughout history, but I guess they've had some bad luck.
Yeah, it just sounds like they've been sacked twice then by Crusades.
They've been conquered a lot.
The city with invincible walls has been conquered many times.
They have some amazing, like, temples and stuff as well, like Hagia Sophia, I think it's called.
Yeah.
The like one of the greatest temples on earth, and they have.
So, was Constantinople's I guess their population was probably a lot greater than Venice, and so the money just like condensed down amongst people in Venice, right?
Probably, and they were also very, very rich.
Yeah.
And so this is how the old guy got his revenge and kick-started Venice's economy. And then from there it just grew because they had access to the water and no one could conquer them because they were in a swamp.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, come get us. You can't. We have the best navy and you have to boat out to us.
Yeah, we have the best navy and all the gold. We can hire so many mercenaries.
Yeah, what are you going to do? But when you hear that Venice was rich, it does not properly convey that they were rich. Like, they were ridiculously rich. Like, you almost need imagery of, like, gold-coated streets and stuff for that to, like, holy cow. And I don't know if that was just, like, this Supreme Doge or if that was everyone, but the amount of jewels and gold was just...
So, do you know why Venice is sinking?
Water's rising?
It's a little more dumb than that. So, Venice is in a swamp and it's by the ocean, right?
Yeah.
And so, they always wanted more land, and they also needed fresh water. So, to do this, there was really big aqueducts, like I think is natural caves underneath Venice, and they were full of fresh water. So, they pumped the fresh water out, and they'd also pump salt water out to basically raise the height of the land. So you like just keep pushing salt water away. So the process of how these caves filled is a filtration that the water would go through the dirt and get rid of all the salt and fill up the freshwater caves. So they've been pumping out for ages all the fresh water, and then they started pumping away the salt water. And so Venice is sinking literally because the land is sinking because there's no longer water in the caves. And it's caused a pressure change. So the actual ground of Venice is now sinking.
Oh, so they're just wimpy Netherlands.
Yeah, so Venice is actually sinking because they did it. And then the rising water levels isn't helping them.
So they just like have actually lowered the land.
Yeah.
Wow.
In attempts to get more land and fresh water, they've actually made their city sink. Like it's the actual ground. Like houses literally just collapse downwards. That's why they have barrels underneath houses, so in case the land falls away, the house will keep floating.
Wow. Yeah, that's just dumb.
Yeah. So what happened to their wealth, eh?
Yeah, I don't know. The
Doge spent it all.
He threw it all in the ocean. That's why the water's risen. They chucked all their gold in the ocean.
Yeah, all those gold rigs add up every year.
Yeah.
Gold displaces a large amount of water, that whole density thing, right?
Volume is the only thing that matters.
No.
Yeah, just... We have to stop the tradition, but the ocean has given us wealth. No!
Drops one more ring in, sea level rises a foot.
Yeah. Don't cast the ring into the water. No. We're drowning! Yeah, it kind of sucks though, because it's such a amazing history. Yeah, Italy has really, like, distorted our view of the medieval ages, I think, in an amazing way. Like, you had Venice, which is this city of wealth and canals, and it's crazy and amazing, and you get, like, the Lies of Lochmore based there. Yeah. And then you have, like, this city of crime and just thievery and backstabbing and murder. And that's, starts with an F, Florence.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, Langmar and Ankh-Morpork is based. Or Ankh-Morpork's kind of based in London, actually, but it's based on Langmar, which is...
Yeah.
And then you have, like, you know, mercenaries in the medieval age, which was very rare, except in Italy, because everyone was so rich.
Italy's just distorted history.
Yeah, and then you had, like, you know, organized crime, and that was on Sicily, where they had no police, and so the criminals got sick of all the crime and formed the mafia.
They got sick of petty crime.
And then you have, like, the war with Ethiopia or whatever in World War II, where they lost, which is... Yeah.
And you have the Vatican State, like the religious center.
But Italy just, you know, they were very... Oh, and the Renaissance. That was like, Italy. They were massive for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't Italy for most of it. But
No.
They were like Naples and the Vatican and Venice and Florence. They were a bunch of city-states, but it's...
Incredibly rich city-states.
Yeah.
You are listening to The Fool and the Philosopher. Was it Florence that had the horrible defense problem?
I don't know. They had the Medicis, which is probably an issue on its own for defense.
Was the Medicis?
It was a family that all murdered each other.
No, so one of the cities in Italy had this defense problem, which is, it's why they installed the sewers, because how they dealt with trash.
Oh, they just threw it over the walls or something?
They actually threw over the walls, and there got to be so much trash, an army literally invaded by running up the piles of trash and got straight over the walls.
I thought that was an ancient Greek city.
Maybe. That might be a Roman city.
Yeah.
But it's in that area.
Okay. Maybe it's like history's repeated itself too. Like London is also kind of a city of thievery and tunnels and that, and so is Paris.
Yeah, it was one of the cities where the plumb bob was first used to make the sewers, so the water would always run down.
Mm.
But before, the problem was they had so much garbage the walls could just be run over.
But who's going to run over this wall? It's disgusting.
Imagine when your city gets to the point where, like, open the gates, and these people are just walking into either side of them are just piles of trash.
Yeah.
And there's just a path where they don't throw it at the gate, so you're just like, do I want to be in this city?
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Like, what if it rains?
I'm hoping they're like short walls. Just like these 40-foot walls with like mountains of trash.
Well, a lot of it was sewage, actually, the trash.
Yeah.
And carcasses. It was sewage and carcasses.
We can invade the city very easily. Do you want to? I don't want to.
Well, it's very clean on the inside.
Yeah, they have no trash inside.
They throw it over the walls.
That doesn't really sound believable, does it? That whole, like, that's crazy. But a lot of history doesn't. I'm reading The Witcher right now.
Yeah.
Really good. Wow. I think I'm reading them and I'm like, man, I wish I could play a game set in this world. And I'm like, wait a minute. One of the top award-winning games ever is.
Yeah.
Like, they're so good. Wow. They're very slow. Like, the author certainly takes his time, but I like it because it feels very relaxed. Like, he's not stressing to hit a deadline or something. He's very like, oh, you know what? I'm going to spend like 4 pages describing this card game. And then I'm going to just have like a conversation between these two guards that's meaningless. And then I'm going to just have like 20 pages without anything but dialogue. And he just does it. And then he'll be like, right, now I'm just going to switch viewpoints and go way over here. I'm going to switch tenths and talk about the past all of a sudden. And he's like super carefree with the rules of writing, but in a way that still works. And I really appreciate it. It shows me how it can be done. And what were we talking about just before?
Just the ridiculousness of medieval settings.
Right, yes. There's a part where he complains in his book. He has Geralt escorting these refugees. And they get to a refugee camp, and one of the refugees screams out in joy and runs over. And one of the refugees in the refugee camp is her husband, and another one's her brother, who she thought had been dead for like, both of them for like years or something during the war. And so she goes over, she's super happy, and then the bard, Dandelion, is complaining. He's like, man, you know, I can't do this in my stories because nobody would believe it. It's just too much of a miracle. And because it's like the past is like, you know, the reality is stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
It's not true, but people only accept it if it is that way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the truth is crazy. Like the siege on Munster with like building a wall around a city that already has a wall so they can't escape.
It's not even the past that's ridiculous. Modern times are absurd.
Yeah, there's all sorts of like
so I was trying to figure out which city this was.
Yeah.
And I came across an article recently that happened in Rome, which is Rome is having a problem with their pollution and heat, which is a ton of trash is getting left out. And it's so hot in Rome that like plastic is melting and other things are festering at ridiculous rates. And the garbage men refuse to touch it because it's so nasty. And so the trash is just piling up.
Ew. And Rome is very hot as well.
Yeah, and because of like the record heat spells from the summer, there's this ridiculous problem with trash.
Weird.
Because the garbage crews refused to touch it because it was so disgusting and dangerous.
I think also, like, we have people like Boris Johnson in the UK and we have, like, Donald Trump in the United States. They're like, they're like the old, like, Roman leaders that are just these characters, like Cato or Claudius or, like, even Pompey or Caesar or something. Like, they're just these celebrity leaders because they're so, like, interesting and crazy and ridiculous. They're like Far Cry villains or something, like
a little larger than life. Like
I'm not saying they're villains. It's just they're larger
not
than life.
The president. They're who they are. It's like it's not the prime minister. It's Boris Johnson. It's not the president. It's Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's like Claudius was like the leader of the street gangs in Rome and also one of the triumvirate. Like that sort of or Cato. It's like there goes the richest guy, or like Socrates. He's one guy in a town, and everyone's like, there's the wisest guy in Athens. And there's the wise guy. I am the wisest man in Athens, for I know that I know nothing.
Okay, well, it's actually impossible for me to research this because there's too many problems with modern pollution and garbage. Well, that's a little depressing. Yeah.
I think, well, hopefully we'll push through. Or
there is a solution I was reading about, but it's one of those double-edged solutions. So this is to deal with pollution in the ocean. This group engineered a bacteria which can eat plastic and break it down to the point where then they will die and other microbes can eat them and the plastic won't trickle back in the system, like they naturally basically recycle it. The worry is that if you release these bacteria, no plastic will ever be able to go into the ocean again.
Just all the boats dissolve.
Like your boat with a plastic bottom. Yeah, there's just that problem, like boats can't go in the ocean because plastic bottoms, like anything plastic, might get attacked and then start deteriorating.
It'd be like the sort of Grey Goose scenario where your self-replicating robots accidentally tear apart the Earth.
Yeah, it's like, alright, we got a solution, but it might make it impossible for boats to go in the water. And also this thing might outcompete everything.
And solutions like that, they're kind of... if your house is full of razor blades and you buy a box of Band-Aids, like, instead of getting rid of the razor blades, maybe?
Yeah. Alright, so we got a problem with black widow spiders, and so we're going to release a bunch of praying mantis everywhere. Now we got a problem with praying mantis, so we're going to release a bunch of frogs everywhere.
Yeah. And
now we got
release a mountain gorilla, which eats the frogs, and come winter, all the mountain gorillas die. Yeah. But
how's that mountain gorilla doing in your home, Jim? Oh, it's fine. I just leave it alone, and it leaves me alone. I haven't been able to watch the TV in weeks.
Yeah, I don't even it could be both. It could cause more problems, but it also doesn't solve the issue, which is actually like garbage being generated and dumped in the ocean.
Yeah,
and garbage being dumped in the ocean isn't even the thing to solve. Really, it's the garbage generation.
Yeah,
like you do what you can on all levels, I guess, but.
Yeah,
it's like the Artemis Fowl, where Artemis Fowl comes up with a solution to climate change with his super reflective clouds, which sounds like a great way to cause a nuclear winter or something.
Yeah,
or allow just a massive greenhouse effect to continue because everyone's like, he solved the problem. It's fine. We can do what we want. He's not fixing anything.
There's this idea. It's one of the dumbest solutions to global warming, which is actually triggering a nuclear winter.
Yeah.
It's basically what you do is you drop some bombs into a volcano.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Because you have the ash cloud, it goes up and it causes a second winter to occur, and that will cause a massive temperature drop.
But no. The whole point of stopping climate change is to help humans out.
This is the idea. It's like a nice reset to the temperature, and we can tough it out for a year.
Yeah, if it lasts a year and not like 400 years or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, that didn't work. Whoops. Cause another ice age.
Yeah.
That seems, I don't know. That's how what was it? The second or third great extinction on Earth. It was just there was climate change, and so
So another thought, right?
all the water creatures decided they'd just bomb a volcano.
Do you know what CFCs are? You remember learning about those, right?
Yeah.
They put a hole in the ozone layer?
Yeah.
Do you know what their other thing they do is?
They are a coolant.
Yeah, they're global coolers.
So we all just die of cancer instead of the world.
So another idea is coming up with some sort of, like, it's not exactly a CFC, but releasing global coolants as well.
So the ozone layer goes away.
No, so releasing CFC, like, substances that don't put a hole in the ozone layer.
The world's cooler, but it's bombarded by, like, solar flares. Or solar radiation, rather.
Well, so, like, this solution here, though, right? So, oh no, the bathtub's filled with hot water. We have to pour in more cold water, and then it overflows.
Yeah, or the bathtub's full of, I don't know, the bathtub's full of hot water, so let's knock a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
It's like, there, problem solved. Like, you go outside and your skin starts to bubble. Yeah, I like you said, it would be a different one, probably.
You are listening to The Fool and the Philosopher.
CGI. A lot of people complain about it in movies. How ridiculous or obvious or anything else it is. Does everyone have supervision but me? Because I can't see it.
Huh. As far as I understand, like, a lot of times when people complain about CG, like, a big example for, I think, what I can think of is Grand Moff Tarkin and, what's her name? Princess Leia in Rogue One.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, they look so bad. I actually couldn't tell with Grand Moff Tarkin, and I didn't really care about Leia. I was like, okay, yeah, it works. It gets the image across.
When I watched Pokemon, the movie,
yeah,
they definitely didn't blend in with the world, some of the Pokemon. But I think that was more because of the choices they made in the models rather than them looking fake, if that makes sense. They looked realistic, just in a wrong way. They didn't look like they belonged in this world.
A guy talked about that, and I can't remember his name, but he talked about the integration of 3D models into animation. And he's saying that it's basically, like, not all the CG's bad, it's how you integrate it in. Like, if you can actually put it in, it works. Whereas if you have, like, your main characters are 2D animated characters that are walking around, then everyone else is a faceless 3D model all moving in sync. I think it's just, though, the integration, basically, of how you integrate it. Like, with the Hound of the Baskervilles and the Sherlock series, it looked like... see, you could make it a CG monster, and that could be like this out-of-the-world monster, which is all weird. However, integrating it into the real world in that scene, it didn't look like it fit, basically. Like, that's not what the show was about. The show's not like that. The setting's not like that. This thing looks a little too alien, a little too, like, Play-Doh, I guess. The Lord of the Rings CGI is absolutely amazing, right?
Definitely. The Balrog holds up today.
Yeah, and even the Fell Beasts, I've always found, like, they fit the setting. They look like they fit the world.
Yeah, definitely. I never even thought about the Fell Beasts being CGI, but I guess they probably are.
They are purely CGI.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it can work, definitely.
Yeah, like, even though, like, some people are like, oh, it's such obvious CG. Yeah, well, they're a giant dragon creature. They don't look from this world. They're nasty.
That's what I've been wondering. If that's what makes CGI stand out, is not the poor quality of animation or models. It's more how well it meshes with the world.
That is definitely, like, that's, I'd say, 60% of it.
Like, the Sonic model actually looks really good. It just... it doesn't really... Actually, it's okay because they have a few more fantastic elements, I think.
Yeah.
But it still definitely doesn't entirely blend with the world.
Yeah.
And
it looks
with the
better than the one they tried to do that was realistic.
Maybe. I'm not sure about with blending in the world or not.
I'm saying it looks better than the one that was trying to look realistic.
I'm not sure if it does in terms of... See, this is where the CGI thing comes in.
Yeah.
The first one might have actually blended in better.
Well, no, because Sonic's from an alternate world in the plot.
Yeah, but when you're looking at the screen and you're trying to guess if it's a puppet or a CGI image, the second one is obviously not a puppet.
Yeah.
The first one, you could almost kind of be like, hey, that looks pretty realistic.
Yeah.
It's still not good enough, I don't think. But it's... Or good enough, maybe that's the wrong term. It just doesn't work to have glistening eyes and all that on a real... Yeah. I wonder how often people have complained about CGI with actual, like, animatronics or puppets or something without realizing it. Like, the CGI in Farscape is so unrealistic. Those aliens are ridiculous.
Well, like, with the case with the Hound of the Baskervilles...
Oh, you might want to restart that. You just, like, scratched your microphone.
That's the mic I have near my head, not...
But it was very noisy.
Okay. The Hound of the Baskervilles, I think, would have worked better as a puppet with CG elements added to it than what they did. Yeah, like just throwing some glowing eyes or something. Yeah, like what they did literally looks like they took something from a video game and dropped it into the world. Yeah, or paint up a... Why didn't they just paint glowing paint on a real Mastiff or something? Yeah, or just touch up a Mastiff instead of completely making a new thing. Yeah. Been a while since I saw that, but... Yeah. I think motion is a big part of it, too. Definitely. Like some of the Bulbasaurs in the movie seem to kind of... They did that video game thing where they don't quite feel like they're walking on the ground. They sort of skate across it? It wasn't that bad because obviously the animators put a lot more care into something they can 100% control. Yeah. But it just didn't quite feel right. Maybe not enough gravel was moving for their weight or something, I don't know. Or their shadows weren't dense enough. Yeah. Shadows is actually a big one. But you think they would be able to fine-tune that pretty good? Like, step back, make the shadow a bit darker. There we go. Something like that. Sometimes when you're working on animation, you, like, are staring at it for 20 hours, you start forgetting what reality looks like. Yeah, I guess. But you think they would have, like... It's Pokemon. They think they have a bit of money to do multiple viewings. Yeah. That... Sometimes with movies, though, it's like, all right, intern, make these Bulbasaurs move. Not a very important part. Is any franchise on Earth worth more than Pokemon? No. Maybe like Lego or something? Maybe. Disney stuff? Maybe. Yeah. That Pokemon is way up there. Yeah, I could see Disney being worth a bit more. You are listening to The Fool and the Philosopher. There was a guy in the 1900s, I want to say, but I could be wrong. It was just before World War One, I think, or just after. Somewhere around there, I think. He had a plan to put a dam on the Strait of Gibraltar to drain the Mediterranean Sea. What? So that there would be more farmable land and Africa would be connected to Europe. And it would stop world wars because everybody could live in the endless expanses of Africa. And farmers would have more land to live in. And the power generated by the dam could power the entire world. And there was another plan to do something similar in San Francisco. I think it was San Francisco, to connect... Oh, I don't know my American geography. It was like to connect an island to the mainland anyways, with a mega dam. But to New Jersey, maybe? Okay. But yeah, Let's go back to the Strait of Gibraltar for a second. Where would that water drain to? The rest of the world. Oh, I think the other thing might have been it increases rainfall because... So that's good or something? I'm not sure exactly. The rest of the ocean. What are the knock-on effects of that? Probably, like, incalculably crazy. Because I remember there's a proposal at one point that affected Canada and the United States, which was they were worried about droughts in the United States, and so they was like putting together this proposal for a ridiculous amount of money to go to Canada to redirect the Yukon River and several other, after it went down through British Columbia, into the States.
Oh.
So they could have a water reservoir because they were worried about water.
And the Alaskans were okay with that?
And so the plan, yes, because it was flowing into the ocean. And like, oh, all this water, we could like waste it back down to the States. And so it was stopped multiple
Canadians
reasons.
are stealing all our water and draining it into the ocean.
It was stopped for multiple reasons. One of them was that the redirection of the river would destroy several cities. And the plans to go around that would ruin habitats. The redirected
Canadian cities and Canadian habitats.
The redirected area, if you moved the water out of there, it would really mess the environment. It would actually turn the Yukon into even more of a desert because of the redirection plans. Because that's like one of the large sources of water. Going through British Columbia had its own problems to it because their planned route would increase the amount of water in British Columbia and also make the water drain in different directions. So dozens of rivers' drainage would change. And then when it got to the states they were planning to redirect it to didn't actually even want that plan done because they had nowhere to put the water. Because of the way their land worked, they actually couldn't hold lakes.
And the Alaskans would just, like, I don't know, probably have some fisheries mixed up or something.
Oh, definitely. Like, it was the dumbest plan ever done, or one of those. Like,
let's connect the Bering Strait to California. Just see what happens. We'll call it the Double Gold Rush Plan.
Was that, it's like that one, the canal that was actually made in South America.
The Panama.
Yeah, the Panama Canal. We'll make the Great Western Canal between Nova Scotia and Alaska.
Just cut Canada in half.
How much land would you need to move to do that?
Actually, you might laugh at like the connecting the Strait to Gibraltar or whatever. But think about like the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal. Those are crazy projects as well. Or like the Yellow River Dam. Oh, that's on a lesser scale, and it didn't really work. But
still doesn't work.
They're massive projects as well.
Yeah,
I think they're not quite like would need more concrete than exists on Earth, sort of. At the time, anyways.
Concrete is incredibly easy to make.
Yeah, but this is like the Straits of Gibraltar are not short.
No,
it's like I don't know how wide it is, but it's wide.
You can make concrete. Just mine a mountain, like take down Mount Everest, build this dam.
Let's lowball it, and I don't know, but let's say that you can in the middle see both shores or something. That's probably like 30 kilometers at least.
Yeah,
and then it has to be ocean deep, and probably to be strong enough, like I don't know. A kilometer wide or something. I don't know dam technology.
Also, you have to go deeper than the ocean. For something that big, you have to sink it.
Yeah.
You have to sink it about half its actual height.
And that would take a lot of steel too, I imagine.
Oh yeah, so much rebar.
And like the resources are ridiculous.
Also,
and the result would be terrible. You'd have like salt flats.
Building it in the ocean?
Yeah.
Anything in the ocean is really hard to do because salt destroys all machinery.
Yeah.
And underwater welding would have to be done there.
And you have to like fight off ocean currents, and you have to...
Yeah. And storms.
You'd probably need to hire the Dutch to do it. They're the only people
we know they can. We'll build windmills.
It needs a lot of windmills.
Wait, what? Yes, windmills everywhere.
There's a bunch of floating windmills that are powering like water cannons, and they just spray all the water away.
Spraying all the water into Spain.
Yeah.
While that's going on, they're digging a really deep hole in Spain.
Yeah. I wonder what probably like a Russian or American highway. I was going to say I wonder what like the biggest human project is.
Yeah.
I think like the most expensive thing to build on Earth was like the United States National Highway or something.
Yeah.
I think it's something like that. But I bet like these super projects must be kind of up there.
It took over 20 years to build the Panama Canal.
Wow. Just a guy with a shovel going at it.
The Panama Canal is an artificial 82-kilometer waterway.
It's 82 kilometers?
Yes.
Maybe they can do the Gibraltar thing. Straight.
The canal, what's its width? Its width changes. But it's actually a decent width. Boats can get through it.
Okay, so the Straits of Gibraltar are 300 to 900 meters deep.
Okay.
And they're 58 kilometers... Oh, wait, no. 13 kilometers at their narrowest point. Only 13 kilometers. That's smaller than Panama. Easy.
All right, but
now
see,
just
the
fill
Panama
Panama
Canal
with
was
concrete.
digging. This
and
would
not
be
holding back the
adding.
ocean.
Yes. And can you imagine? So if you had it at that really, that choke point, right? How much of force of the ocean would be on it? Like one crack, and that whole thing goes down.
And then there's the, I don't think you can find it here, but the, no, it's bigger. It's bigger.
Do you know about the lake that drained into the salt mine, right?
No.
Okay, this was a fun thing that happened. So, there was a salt mine that went under a lake, because some lakes in the United States have large amounts of salt deposits under them. And the thing about salt is it also attracts, I believe, oil, this kind of salt. And so another company decided that they're going to do some testing to see if there's oil down there they could mine on this lake. And so they brought their drill down, and something really bad happened. Water started coming up. And also, it started moving funny and shaking, and they had no idea what was going on. And what happened is there's a slight miscalculation, I believe, of 30 meters. And so the drill head for the oil probe entered one of the mine shafts. And I think the hole that they had was only something like 2 or 3 centimeters across. Every single boat in that lake, and there's big barges, went into the salt mine. The lake drained, and the river that was flowing out of this lake reversed direction and flowed back in.
Oh dear. Like
a river. Surprisingly, no one died. Because the mine had really good evacuation plans. But there's this one boatman who's, like, he has his boat, he's driving along, and then he's like, wait, why is my boat not moving? And he turns and just sees this, like, whirlpool in a lake.
Yikes.
And it's this massive whirlpool. And one of the boat buoys was going in, like, these massive platforms, not buoy, it was a barge. And so he used its, like, basically the draft that it was stopping from getting pulled into escape the lake. And he's like, yeah, I've never been on the water again, and I didn't really like fishing to start with.
I hate sinkholes. Like, learning about them, seeing videos of them, pictures of them.
This was like a whirlpool. Like, the lake literally drained. And
but it's still a sinkhole, right? It's like a hole in the earth that pulled everything into it.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. All the barges came back up but 3, and they're still in the salt mine.
And I hate them because that makes me think, if I take a step wrong one day, I could just, like, fall 30 feet into the earth.
Yeah, there's, in this lake now, the geography's changed, and you can see houses poking up out of the water where they were literally, the land was pulled into the lake because there's so much power from the whirlpool. It started pulling in the nearby town.
Yeah, see, that's terrifying. I prefer to, feel safe when I'm on the ground.
You want to just stand on rock.
That's why, like, San Francisco, Vancouver, Japan. I don't like
Hawaii.
Earthquakes, Well, I don't know if Hawaii has earthquakes too badly. I'm not sure. They have tsunamis and hurricanes and volcano, but earthquakes, I'm not sure. They probably have earthquakes too.
It's on a major fault line.
Yeah.
No, those hotspot volcanoes. Never mind.
I was talking to our mom, actually.
Yeah.
And we were talking about what's our favorite place on Earth.
Yeah.
And I said, mine might be Hawaii, except for the everything horrible.
Yeah.
It's like, Hawaii is amazing, except for the volcano and the hurricanes or the typhoons, I guess
the
they're called.
thing that always disturbs me about
Large
places
spiders, Americans.
like Hawaii and Japan and certain places is you're walking along and then you see a sign which says you're safe from tsunamis past this point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to go any farther than that sign, thank you.
When I was in Victoria, there was signs like that, and I didn't like them.
Yeah, I have the feeling when I see those signs, it's like, oh, let's keep on going. It's like, no, I'm fine staying at where this sign is. Like, where this sign is, there's an invisible wall for me now.
There was actually supposed to be a tsunami or some, well, not quite a tsunami, but some sort of water surge while I was in Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
And I pulled up a map of like tsunami zones, and I was like, okay, I am not leaving this zone.
Yeah. When we were in Hawaii, Hawaii got hit by a typhoon.
As we were leaving.
Yeah, but remember the Valley of Kings?
Yeah.
After we left, it was flooding. We were actually leaving that place as is flooding. Like, I think a few days later, I looked it up, the place was flooded again.
Yeah, it's...
Who lives there?
Well, nobody lives in the Valley of Kings, I don't think.
There's a few little shanty houses in there.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's just I don't know what it is. Is it like a burial ground or a hangout spot? Yeah, I don't think people live there, though. We didn't see any houses.
Yeah.
And I don't think they would allow you to live there, because the river itself goes, doubles in height every day, so...
That was scary. Honestly, that's one of the scariest parts, one of my scariest memories, I think.
You were pretty young.
Yeah, but we went across the river, and then I actually wasn't strong enough to swim across it going back.
Yeah.
The river level rised and it's flowing so much, our dad had to pick me up and, swim with me across the river.
Yeah, because we could walk across going one way, and then you had to swim across the other.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get our head in the water, because it was downstream from, a cow farm or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was... Ugh. That's my fear, actually, is, waves.
Yeah. Yeah, water's spooky.
You are listening to The Fool and the Philosopher. You are also listening to Vindsvept and Adrian von Ziegler. Adrian was at the beginning, Vindsvept is right now, so check those guys out and enjoy the rest of the show.
So on YouTube, I don't know if you've seen this ad. I think it's a car ad. A lot of modern advertising, it's hard to say what they're trying to advertise. They almost
trying to sell sex. Or was that the 80s ads?
No, never. That's not what... Anyways.
I thought that was a thing about ads.
No. The saying is sex sells. It means use, attractive people.
Oh, that's what I was trying to say. I just said it really wrongly. I said it really poorly.
That's like prostitution you're talking about.
Okay, well, just moving ever onwards.
Yeah. Anyways, marketing. So this ad is for a car, I think. And it's just a bunch of people saying, you can't do this, you can't do it, you can't do it. I don't believe in you, you can't do this. And then at the end, it's think of every time people told you couldn't. Well, you can. I haven't had a huge amount of times in my life where people have told me I can't do something. I've had a lot of times where people have been unsupportive or they haven't been supportive. That's different.
Yeah.
This was trying to make me feel a problem that didn't exist. And then it was trying to empower me from this problem. And that's the lesson of marketing. First, invent a problem, and then offer the solution. That's how marketing works. Well, it used to. It's a bit more varied now, I think. But that's still its basic, principle, I think.
Okay.
So, this ad reminded me of that anyways. Mm-hmm. So when I was in, it was 2013, I think. My last
year. You always think it was last year.
My last year of high school.
Yeah.
Some people came into my class to make women feel powerless. I don't know what they were selling, but they were working on step one.
Okay.
And they put up a bunch of stuff on the TV of Disney shows and they started talking about how Disney makes movies to disempower women and to make them feel like they can't do anything. and that they're useless and they're just there to be rescued. Among these videos was Mulan.
Okay.
For one thing.
So, lack of research.
Oh, Disney shows in general have a female protagonist.
Yep.
Like, all of them?
Not
Not quite. Like, The Lion King
Emperor's New
doesn't.
Groove.
The Emperor's New Groove doesn't. Most of them.
Yes, most of them.
You have Belle, you have Elsa, you have...
The Little Mermaid.
You have The Little Mermaid, you have Mulan, you have...
Sleeping Beauty, Snow White.
Sleeping Beauty, you have Snow White. And they're often the ones doing the stuff in the film.
Yep.
Furthermore, these people said that they got out a bunch of magazines. And they said society is trying to tell women how to be. And she said that is why she is fat and cuts her hair short.
I think you've complained about this woman before.
The top of her ears instead of the bottom. I'm not sure if I have on the podcast.
Okay.
She said that she didn't want society to define her. She was more rigidly defined by society than anyone I've ever met. Because she was working to do its exact opposite and putting all her effort into it and didn't care about her own personal preference.
Yeah.
And this did not happen quietly in our classroom. Myself and a girl named Emily, who was in the class with me, kept raising our hands. Because, as you know, I can't shut up. And...
Shut up!
I just kept asking, wait, that's Mulan. Wait, but women aren't told anything. This is just a magazine. It's not telling you anything. Wait, but you've been defined by society. Wait, but that's Mulan, where she's literally like a hero. And, oh, women can't do men's roles? Well, she is doing one, and she's doing it well. And on and on. Emily, not really one to talk, but she thought this was ridiculous too. And she kept going on and on.
I believe...
So we kicked them out of the classroom. Like,
oh, really?
They were basically... Like, we didn't physically kick them out, but they fell flat. Entirely flat, and they left. So obviously it was a bit too early for that to take hold. But I think they're doing that kind of stuff now. I don't think it's that they didn't do their research. I think they were trying to invent a problem. Because that's how marketing works. And if you make people feel powerless, then you can sell them the tools of power.
Right.
Like cigarettes, which we've talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was like cigarette marketing or something in the classroom, but it was weird anyways. And I just thought about that situation. And there was stuff at my university, posters and whatnot, that were more extreme than that. So at some point, someone didn't laugh them out of the class. I think.
Yeah.
And, I'm not really going anywhere with that for now.
I've talked about it. Never had something extreme as that, but we had an unfortunate thing with these two people very kindly trying to give a class health advice on food. And they're talking about you should eat a lot of fish. And they were like saying like you should have like fish every day or something. And a lot of people in the class raised concerns about mercury poisoning. Because they're talking about like you should have fish from the ocean, like these proper sea fish and stuff. Like they've got good fats for you and you shouldn't have this food. And they also had this very ineffective thing, which is it's like, all right, we're going to hand out this list of like fast food things for you. And choose your favorite fast food restaurant and basically like choose your favorite meal from it. And then this thing will show you all the calories in it and how bad it is for you. And we had a problem there about like 10 students in the classroom weren't familiar with fast food.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I think maybe in their world where they live, people only eat fast food and women feel powerless. But for the rest of us, it's not a thing.
Yeah.
And they're trying to... Maybe they are all good intention and trying to solve the problems of the world that doesn't exist.
But to solve the problems, they have to make the whole world believe the problems are there.
Or they have... Or they're just... Yeah, it's weird that they have to describe the problem before they can market the solution. That is the strangest thing. If you had an ad, right?
Yeah.
And it's like... This pill cures arthritis. Bam. That's the ad.
Yeah.
And then people are like, whoa, I gotta get me some of that. But if your ad is like, do you feel pain? You sure? What about that twinge in your elbow? That's arthritis. Yep, you need our pill. then you're getting that's where they're like the problem wasn't there.
That's marketing, baby.
Yeah, but so if these people say like, you know, maybe it's like the to realize you're to be free you have to first realize you're a slave sort of situation.
To be free, you must wear chains.
No, you must. Well, almost though. It's kind of like the Buddha, how he said, "Your life is miserable. You are suffering." And people were like, "Wait, what? I was doing all right until you came along." It's like, but I have the solution.
Buy my book.
I will give it to you for $6.99.
I have the solution. Buy my book.
8 easy steps. Yeah, he was the original. He was the original like scam artist.
He is the original. Here in my garage.
Yeah, and he was
not Taz. What was the guy's
Ty Lopez.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Buddha was the original Ty Lopez, and that's why if you see Ty Lopez in it, that could get me in trouble.
You can put it together.
Yeah, but it's not true what I said. Don't take it literally. It's a metaphor.
It's a part of the cult now, though. You are listening to The Fool and the Philosopher.
Name one of the most famous science fiction authors ever.
The guy who did Scientology.
Yeah, first name that came to your mind when you were thinking of famous science fiction authors was Ron L. Hubbard. Wow. Yeah. So he must be really famous.
Actually, probably the first one that comes to mind for me is Orson Scott Card.
Ron L. Hubbard. Right. So, he's a famous author.
Yep.
He had a cult. Yeah. I am not a famous author. I do not have a cult.
That you know of.
So, what I'm thinking is if I want to succeed as an author, I need to found a cult, right? So here's the thing. I have to first create a problem that my cult solves, like original sin or something, right?
Yeah.
Or the eightfold path to leave suffering, something like that.
Okay.
But I have to advertise my cult well, because here's the thing. We've been doing this podcast for, 2 years almost?
Basically.
And if you look at our total views on YouTube, it's like 500 views at this point, something like that.
Yep.
When I got, internet access back and Age of Wonders stopped being broken because they did an update that broke the game, so they had to fix it, I celebrated by releasing a mod. That mod took me, 10 hours to make? 15 hours to make? Probably less. I worked for less than 3 days on it.
Yeah.
7,000 people have looked at that mod, and 1,000 are subscribed to it, or 1,200.
Mm-hmm.
So not only does it have amazing engagement, it's way more popular than this channel. And I put way less work into it than into this channel.
Yep.
So if I want to advertise successfully, Age of Wonders mod is the way to go, is that's what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
So, I'd like to announce a mod that's coming out next week. So, I am releasing a mod based on my book next week on Thursday, which... wow, I am releasing a mod based on my book next Thursday, which is based around specializations and combining specializations. For instance, as a little sampler, if you have Earth Adept and Creation Adept specializations, you can summon a wall on the map.
Mm-hmm.
If you have Water Adept... Oh, sorry, that one doesn't work. If you have Fire Adept plus Air Adept, you're able to cast the spell Choking Fumes, which is normally only able to be cast by a Dreadnought.
Yeah.
I have also added runes. If you're an Earth Master, you can cast a Strength rune on your units, making them stronger for 7 turns. And I have added back summoning stuff to the game. For example, tentacle plants, whatever those are called. Poison vines.
Yeah.
You can now summon those onto the map. You can summon teleporters on the map that'll send you back to your home. I have added... the Greyguard Adept now has a spell called Equal Rights, which makes all your units female, so that they can gain all the advantages of being female.
Mm-hmm.
And bunch of specializations, bunch of combination specializations. Many of them based on my book.
Yeah.
Which is also coming out on Thursday. Because I've decided I'm sick and tired of... You see, not enough people recognize my genius. Almost nobody recognizes my genius. Which obviously means that most of the world's full of morons. So I've decided to publish the book myself. Right?
Okay.
So I've re-edited it again. And I've made this mod to advertise it. And I've painted a cover image for it. And it is releasing on Thursday on Amazon Kindle.
Yep.
For $7.77. That's my goal. And yes, enjoy my book that I shall self-publish because nobody recognizes my genius. And clearly my book is brilliant. So go buy it. It's called No Limb Can Bear. Thank you. Oh wait, I need to create a problem. You don't know what suffering is. This book will teach you. No.
So
I made a fun mod you can try out, and if you really like the mod, why don't you look at my book as well?
What you're saying is that if you were to make a full-on Philosopher mod...
Yeah, well this'll tie it all together.
Yes.
This is
Well, I'm saying this is the test run, right?
Yeah.
So...
And then I'll make like a staircase and bread.
Yeah.
Summon the infinite stair. If you step on it, you can't get off.
Or I'll just start animating your book.
Yeah. Oh, I could do that, actually.
Which is actually something I've wanted to do. Like some sort of small animations from scenes from your book. Because they're quite funny.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, I've wanted to like try and animate some scenes from it.
Honestly, I don't like my book anymore. Wait, this isn't good advertising. It's great. But like when you've edited something like 8 times, you just don't care. Like, it was Yahtzee said recently in a video. He said when he was a teenager, he dreamed of that moment when he would have a book he had published in his hand, and then the moment came, and he just couldn't care anymore because he was just so sick of his words. And so we'll see how this goes. I think it's actually decent. I don't think it's the best, but I think it's good. I think, someone like Stephen Erikson's the best, or, like, Tolstoy.
So,
my book, I'd put at, like, Piers Anthony sort of level, maybe.
I have a question for you, then, about this. So, when you self-publish a book, is it still possible to get a publisher later?
Yes. I don't know if I want to. But it is. The thing I would want to get later would be potentially a professional editor. But I think it's pretty well edited now. But, an editor can just work miracles.
Yeah.
And the other thing is publishers tend not to like to take on books that are already self-published, but if they really like you, they might take on your next book and then retroactively take on your previous books.
Yeah.
However, I actually own a publishing company now, so...
What?
It's very easy. This is interesting news for the listeners and you. ISBNs are the little numbers on the back of books that tell you what book it is.
Yeah.
Your books don't have them by default. They don't just come with books. Like, they have to come from somewhere, which makes sense in retrospect.
Yeah.
But the place it comes from is owned by one company, and they don't sell them for cheap. So a single ISBN costs about, I think it's $150. If you want to buy 2, it costs $250. If you want to buy 10, it costs like $250. If you want to buy like 1,000, it costs... So basically, if you buy 1,000, they cost like 3 cents each. If you buy 1, it costs $150. They are definitely a product you buy in bulk. But it's because of a monopoly, I guess, that they sell for such a ridiculous price.
And what are these even for?
They're the little markers on books, the unique identifiers. They're to help sort the books and to help search for them.
Okay.
So you can... They give a lot of information on the book, and you can scan them, like the barcode, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just helps organize the books, and you can register them with the ISBN. Because titles and names aren't always enough, I guess.
Yeah.
And it tells you which edition the book is. It gives you a lot of information with just a little quick scan. But they're very expensive.
Yes.
If you just buy one. And this is for the UK and for the United States, it turns out. In Canada, the government gives them to you if you ask them.
Really?
But to do so, you need to found a publishing company by just typing in a name, and they don't care if it's actually a proper company. It's just your publisher.
Huh.
So I now own a publisher, I guess, but it's not really a real one.
Can I hire Carolyn?
No, but yeah, I haven't told anyone about this yet, except you and the neighbor, because. Well, whenever I talk to our parents about things, they just overwhelm me with stuff and I get freaked out.
Yeah.
And the other issue is when you talk about something too early, you might lose motivation to do it because
you've already
talking
done it.
about it feels like you've done it.
Yeah.
Even though it isn't the same at all. But this will be coming out like a week before it comes out, so I thought I should probably do it now instead of afterwards.
Yeah.
Get all that 5 viewers of advertising.
Yep.
And we'll link it in the description when the book comes out. It's not out yet.
Well, I've my own plans for this channel.
But I'm going to link it in the description anyways.
Yep.
So I'm in charge of it. I can do it.
You are listening to The Fool and the Philosopher.
I think I know my favorite video game genre now.
Yeah.
Eastern Europe games. Not games that are made in Eastern Europe. Games that are played by Eastern Europeans. I don't know what it is.
What the game category is, yes.
But there's like a very specific set of games in there. They have like Heroes of Might and Magic, Gothic, The Witcher. Have you seen Gothic? I want to play that. Or have you seen... There's a bunch of games I want to play now. I put them on my wish list right at the top because I've been looking for like a good... Because I can't play Skyrim anymore for some reason.
Yeah.
So I've been looking for like a good substitute. And I found all these games that are like... They look like right up my alley. And one's called like Cybermancy, and another one's called Arx Fatalis, and another one's called Might and Magic Dark Messiah. Like Might and Magic Dark Messiah, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can cast an ice spell to freeze enemies, but you can also cast it on the ground, and if they run into it, they'll slip. So you can put it outside a door and they'll slip and then go flying off and fall down a cliff or something. And so some games have systems like that. But in the tutorial for Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, they tell you, that guy's standing behind a pit. Kick him into the pit. That guy's, like, they teach you these systems.
Yeah.
And Arx, Fatalis, you draw spells with your mouse, and then they happen. If you're, like, holding up a sword, you can enchant it with, like, a spell. Or if you put, like, cheese on the ground, mice will be attracted to it. Or if you go to the Goblin King's lair and you put wine, if you swap out, like, the water with wine, the Goblin King's allergic to wine, so the cook will make his cake with wine, and that'll cause the Goblin King to go to the bathroom because he's been poisoned, and then he's not with his guards, and you can assassinate him in there. And these are all, like... And then there's another game, it's like this car racing game, but where the terrain's fully destructible, and it was made in, like, the 90s, and, like, you can jump, and you can fly, and you can go underground, and you... Like, these are, like, the games I've always wanted, and they exist, and they're all played by, like, the Eastern Europeans. I don't know what it is with Eastern Europe and amazing taste in games, but
I'm surprised that there's not a Reddit in the Heroes community right now, or a subforum. Have you heard of Era of Chaos?
No.
It is an abomination.
You're surprised there's not a Reddit for Heroes of Might and Magic?
Sorry, not a Reddit. I'm talking about in the Heroes community.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't made a page yet for Era of Chaos.
Ah. What is it?
Ubisoft decided to try to, yet again, revamp the Heroes of Might and Magic franchise with a mobile game.
Oh.
And
Palm Tree Kingdoms is good.
It is not based on Heroes of Might and Magic. It is a completely different style of game.
Ah.
It just slightly uses some elements of Heroes of Might and Magic. And the reviews for it are people complaining that it's not Heroes 3 on the phone.
You can play Heroes 3 on the phone anyways. You didn't hear it here, but it's possible.
You can find out more on the
VCMI. But it's not worth it, honestly. It's really hard. like it's not hard to get running. I got it running fairly easily, but it was a pain. The buttons are so small. Like on an iPad or something, I bet it'd be great.
Yeah, the game has an interesting rating demographic, which is the middle range is all pretty low, and then there's like quite a few 5s, and there's a lot of 1s.
Yeah, and a lot of angry comments in Russian, I assume.
Well, I'm checking right now because I feel like the top critical reviews. Well, the thing is about the Slavic gamers is they all learn English.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, look at the top name. Chetel Solver. That sounds fairly like Eastern European.
Dijan Ergland? Let's
see. Alexander D. Don't I know him? I think he's like a major, like, Here's My Magic dude, possibly. One of the, like, he's no Salamandre, but, he's...
Attention, they are also deleting negative reviews. The game has nothing to do with Heroes of Might and Magic 3. The gameplay is completely different. It's like every other mobile game. It's just a Heroes of Might and Magic 3 story slapped on top.
It's like a gacha game or something?
Yeah, it's a gacha game.
Right. Wow, like every comment is, hello, we're sorry that this isn't the game you wanted. Hello, we're sorry this isn't the game you wanted. They've got a very dedicated community manager. They tend to get that. I think Ubisoft, if they hate someone, they make a new Heroes of Might and Magic game. And then they make them the community manager of it.
Oh, man.
It's how they destroy people.
Actually.
It's like, do you want the most dedicated people on Earth to hate you? Because this is how you do it. The Heroes of Might and Magic community is hardcore.
Yeah.
Like number, what is it now? 7. Had a lot of good stuff going for it. They messed it up in the end, so the naysayers were right, but it had so much good stuff going for it, and they were like, this is different from number 3.
Yeah.
Die. I hope you burn in hell.
Alright, so the Heroes of Might and Magic community just want... They're a lot like the people who want a new Batman animation to be good.
Yeah, they had perfection, and they've had a taste of perfection, and they want more.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, actually, about those Slavic games or those Eastern European games. Almost all of them are really weird and clunky in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And it's great, though. Like, you love them despite their huge amount of flaws, because they're just so good.
Yeah.
But Heroes of Might and Magic is the weird exception where it's amazing and flawless.
Yeah.
And number 2 and 3. Number 5 is a lot more like the classic, like a great game with a lot of flaws.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 and 3, they're like perfect.
And number 4 is the under-budget poor child who somehow still managed to publish a book.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like me. Number 4 is like...
It's like a cat that got ran over. And would...
Number 4, if it wasn't Heroes of Might and Magic, would probably be a good game.
Yeah.
Because it is actually good. It's just very, very different.
Yeah.
And very, very, very ugly. Like, 5 is, like, ugly in the, like... These graphics look really outdated. 4 doesn't look outdated. It just looks ugly.
Yeah.
4 actually holds up. It's just so ugly. But 2 and 3, like, look as good today as they did back then. Like, because, as we said in our previous thing, they just hold up forever. Well, 3 could do with, like, a little bit of a touch-up, but that was in the base game. They just actually messed up on some artwork. But
yeah. No, I can deal with a touch-up. Let's just go everything with a smoothing tool and say it's HD.
Yeah. And we'll not add in the expansion because we lost it.
Yeah, we lost the expansion. Just go to the Heroes community and ask for it. They've reprogrammed it.
Or, like, just write it again.
Yeah.
Like, is it that hard? If you, what kind of budget did you have on this? Did you pay 3 Photoshop guys and that's it?
Yeah.
Like, if you have the source code, then it shouldn't be that hard to remake. I think actually they might not have had the source code.
Yeah, but the Heroes did. The fans did.
No, the fans don't. They're just, like, amazing.
Insane.
On, like, putting on... And then VCMI, they made their own code.
Honestly, though, like, Ubisoft, I don't understand... Like, I feel like they've done something really unfortunate to themselves. Which is, there's this idea of, this game has a ton of fans, right?
Yeah.
Or this movie has a ton of fans. So we'll half-ass it and they'll still watch it anyways, or still like it anyways, because they're just fans of it and they desperately want more.
Right, but then they accidentally went after Heroes of Might and Magic.
Yeah, and so what I'm saying is if they made a good Heroes of Might and Magic game, it actually would do really well among the fans, and it could probably do decently.
Yeah.
But they're trying to take the approach of, let's just make some easy money with a small team and just make a half-assed game, because of course they'll love it, and they go up against the most brutal, savage fan base in the planet.
Yeah, and they're not even mean, they're just harsh.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, they're not, I don't know, like Dota gets this reputation for, like, just people yelling at you all the time. They're not like that in Heroes of Might and Magic. It's just they're very, very passionate.
Yeah.
Which I guess you could probably say of Dota and League of Legends as well, but I think there's a lot of poor sports in those, whereas in Heroes of Might and Magic, it's more just too much passion for their own game.
Yeah, it's like the community around Battle for Middle-earth is another weird Slavic game community.
Yeah, what was another game that... Morrowind. They've made a new... Like, you know VCMI?
Yeah.
Morrowind has a version of that, like a completely new game engine that you can play Morrowind.
I love the new game engines, honestly, like the Reforged, the Morrowind.
Well, Reforged is a new game. That's like another level.
Yeah, well...
Oh, an amazing one? Look up Living Legends.
Okay.
This is the best I think I've seen. Because it's out. Like, I think Reforged will be up there.
Yeah.
But this is out.
This looks like a song.
Game. Type in, maybe.
It's a band. Living Legends.
No. Let's see. Maybe I got the name wrong. Let's see. Mech Warrior Living Legends.
Yeah, I see it. Mech Warrior Living Legends 2019 gameplay.
So this is a completely free game made by fans.
Oh, really?
Where you can pilot, where it's battle mech. You can, like, you do all the battle mech stuff, and plus, like, you know the battle mech games? It's like that, but more stuff. You have ships, you have tanks, you have
What's
the battle
mech?
mechs. Yeah, and it's totally
What's battle
free.
mech?
Battle mech. You know, Mech Warrior, sorry, I think it's called. You know, like the robots that, like, it's a tabletop game where you, like, build a custom mech, and then you get, like,
oh, yes.
there's damage on each of your limbs, and you have to manage heat, overheating, and...
Yeah, I know. Okay, yes.
Yeah, so it's that, but this totally free game with, like, the entire game represented. And there's paid for versions of this game out there, but this is, like, totally free.
Huh.
And it's amazing. And I love those, yeah, like you were saying, like, Morrowind, it's like, oh, it's a shame, that game was a classic, but you can't run it anymore, it's gonna die out. And then they're like, well, actually, we've made a new engine for it.
Yeah.
And this engine can run Skyrim.
Yeah.
And, like, they're actually extending it to run Skyrim.
Oh, really?
Which is awesome, I think. And there's a mod, actually, that combines them.
Yeah.
I would rather it kind of go the other way, because I think Morrowind, I hear, is, like, a better game, but I like Skyrim's systems better. Like,
yeah.
Morrowind didn't have a physics system, and it had a chance to miss every attack. It's basically, it's like Daggerfall.
Yeah.
And so it feels a lot more clunky than, like, Oblivion or Skyrim.
Wasn't there a guy even rewriting Skyrim?
I couldn't find... I was looking for something like that. I couldn't find anything. But I wouldn't doubt it if someone's out there. I think, like, there's one guy who's doing, like, making Skyrim work with Open Morrowind, so maybe that's that. Because the Open Morrowind works with, like, Bethesda games.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, Bethesda's engine isn't very good anymore. So it's really cool that people make an upgraded engine.
Yeah. Well, have you seen any of the latest stuff on Reforged?
No, I haven't.
So one of the things they're talking about is because of the old games have limitations with their engine. So they're trying to, like, make this engine as efficient as possible. So they can increase the max population to absurd amounts and make bigger maps.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's really...
They're trying to add more resources, and they're also rebalancing the game to make it feel more like the books, and they're adding more heroes to the game to make it feel more like the books. And they do this thing, which is, they say to people, okay, we need voice actors for these characters. So send in your best voice and say which character you want to voice for, and we'll pick the best ones and use you as the voice actor. And if you can do multiple languages, that's great too.
Yeah.
And so it's like, do your best, like, Ringwraith voice, and we can give him even more voice lines. Stuff. It's, like, insane.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool when a community comes together. Oh, yeah, that's what it says. Well, shall we wrap up there and you can delete the last hour or whatever?
And like 20-minute gaps in other parts?
Yeah.
Sure. This is going to be a doozy to edit. It went all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
All right. I'll just stop the recording there.
All right. Cool. Same.
Wait, how do I stop it?